The M1 Max, in my opinion, is a desktop processor. You cannot argue how impressive the performance is of this processor. I just feel it's inappropriate it being inside of a MacBook. Just look at the size of it compared to the M1 and M1 Pro. You're asking a lot from the MacBook in order to cool this M1 Max. And from my testing, the 14-inch simply couldn't handle it. And I experienced excessive fan noise, very high temperatures while under load, and an overall negative experience. And once people have aged with these machines and had them for a year or two, and dust starts to build up inside of the fans, you're clearly going to run into thermal throttling issues. And I'm not confident that it will be any better with even a 16-inch MacBook. There are loads of YouTubers out there praising the performance of the M1 Max, and they're rightly to do so. The performance is incredibly impressive compared to the M1 and M1 Pro. But what they all seem to fail to mention is the practicality of this computer. Considering that I spent £3,000 on this MacBook, the overall customer experience did not match that hefty price tag. And I think for many people, the M1 Pro is a better fit. It is slightly cheaper than the M1 Max, and the performance improvement is still significant over the regular M1, but the chip size is way more appropriate for a laptop. And even when pushing it to its limits, you never once hear the fans kick in, temperatures remain at an adequate level, and the money you save from not buying the M1 Max can go towards additional storage or extra RAM. I just wish that I had got to experience the M1 Max inside of a proper desktop machine, such as a new Mac Mini. Furthermore, a desktop M1 Max will not have any of the awful battery life performance issues with the MacBooks. I don't think I've ever owned a laptop that has had a worse battery life performance. As soon as you begin to do anything remotely taxing with this computer, such as video editing, rendering out videos, or even gaming, the M1 Max just eats away at the battery. And an example of this was when I played Fortnite for 20 minutes. The battery life went from around 93% all the way down to 43%. And to make matters worse, with both the M1 Max and M1 Pro, as the battery life approaches 10% remaining, the performance just falls off a cliff to a point where it's unrecognizable as this being a high-end laptop. And I'm not the type of person that likes to dock a MacBook at my desk and use it with an external monitor. You're simply spending extra money that you're wasting on things you don't need, such as the laptop screen, the laptop's internal speakers, keyboard, trackpad, and so much more. After spending £3,000 on this M1 Max MacBook, I've been incredibly disappointed, and I will be 100% returning this laptop after I finish this video. I had high hopes that this laptop would replace my M1 iMac, but at this current time, it looks like I will either keep on using the M1 Pro or just simply go back to the M1 iMac for another year until we see the M2 variations. If you want to see a more detailed performance video comparing the M1 Pro against the M1 Max and the M1, I highly recommend checking out this video next.